All right, if you've been thinking about applying to Harbin Institute of Technology in Shenzhen, you need to stop what you're doing and listen to this. HITSZ Shenzhen is an incredible top-tier university, no doubt about it. But the rules of the game have just changed in a big way. So what exactly are these changes and what do they mean for you? Let's get right into it.
So you're aiming high. You want a world-class degree in something like engineering or business from one of the best universities in China. And of course, HITSZ Shenzhen is probably right at the top of your list. I mean, it makes sense. It's got a fantastic reputation. But here's the thing. Getting in just got a whole lot more complicated. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. The university has rolled out a bunch of new requirements that are going to affect everything, from your bank account to the kinds of exams you need to crush. So let's break down what's new, starting with probably the biggest one.
First up, let's talk about money. There's a new financial requirement that honestly could be a deal breaker for some. The university has brought in a mandatory and pretty big pre-arrival deposit.
Just take a look at that number for a second. 30,000 RMB. That is the amount every single applicant now has to pay up front. But you know, the real kicker isn't just the amount itself, it's when you have to pay it and what that means for your plans.
So here's the really crucial part. This is a mandatory pre-arrival deposit. You have to pay all of this before you even set foot in China. And maybe even more importantly, you have to pay it before you even know for sure if you've gotten a scholarship, let alone what kind of scholarship it is. This is a massive policy shift.
Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but I get it back, right? And yes, you do, but it is not a simple process. As you can see here, there are quite a few hoops to jump through. First, you physically have to arrive in China. Then, your scholarship has to get its final official approval. After that, you've got to go and open a local Chinese bank account. And only then, after all that, will the university even start to process the refund.
So what's the bottom line for you? It means you absolutely have to have the cash, 30,000 RMB, ready to go right out of your pocket with no real timeline for when you'll get it back. The refund is definitely not immediate. And let's be honest, for a lot of people, this is going to be a pretty serious financial barrier to think about before you even begin the application.
Okay, moving on from the financial side. The next big change adds a whole other layer to the process. It's not just about money anymore. The university is also seriously raising the academic bar with new mandatory entrance exams.
You know, in the past, really strong high school grades might have been your ticket in. Well, that's not quite enough anymore. Now, you're looking at two totally separate exams. First, there's something called the CSCA, which stands for the China Scholastic Competence Assessment. It's a standardized test that some top Chinese universities are starting to use for international students. And second, you also have to pass a completely separate internal entrance exam that's created and run by HITSZ Shenzhen itself.
And what's really interesting here is how specific these exam requirements are. If you're going for a science or engineering degree, like computer science or robot engineering, you've got to pass both mathematics and physics. If you're looking at liberal arts programs like business administration, you're still on the hook for the mathematics exam.
And remember, just passing the CSCA exam is only the first step. The university's own exam is a whole other challenge you've got to get through. And on top of all that, some departments might even ask for more, like academic interviews or faculty evaluations. The whole selection process is just way more competitive and has way more layers than it used to. Okay, so with this big financial deposit and these tough new academic hurdles, the big question becomes, is it all worth it? Let's take a quick look at the programs they offer, the costs, and of course the scholarships, to help you figure that out.
First, the good stuff. The university has a really strong lineup of programs taught in English, and they're in fields people really want to study. You've got the heavy hitters in engineering like computer science and robot engineering, but also some great options in liberal arts like business administration and economics. Now, let's talk about the base costs. Before we even get to scholarships, the standard tuition is 30,000 CNY a year. And for the dorms, as you can see, you have options. It ranges from a pretty affordable 3,000 a year for a triple room all the way up to 12,000 for a single. So these are kind of the baseline numbers you need to be thinking about.
And here's the slide I'm sure you've been waiting for. The scholarships. They've got a few different types. Type A is the full ride. It's a 100% tuition waiver, and you even get a monthly stipend. Then it goes all the way down to Type D, which covers 70% of your tuition, leaving you to pay that 9,000 CNY you see in the last column. So the big takeaway here is that even if you get a scholarship, you might still have to cover some tuition costs yourself. So, we've talked about the deposit, the exams, the costs. Let's put it all together. What does this really mean?
Well, it signals a major shift in strategy for HIT Shenzhen. It seems like they're positioning themselves to attract a different kind of student now. Someone who's not just academically at the top of their game, but also financially secure enough to handle these new upfront costs.
You know, this quote from our source material really just hits the nail on the head. While HIT Shenzhen is still an absolutely top-tier university, applying there is no longer a low-risk or low-cost kind of deal. This upfront financial commitment and the tougher academic requirements have totally changed the game.
So here it is, your final checklist. Before you even think about hitting that apply button, you need to be ready for 2 really challenging exams. You have to be financially prepared to say goodbye to 30,000 RMB for a while, and you've got to understand that getting that money back is a multi-step process that doesn't even start until after you land in China.
And that brings us to the final question, and it's a question that really only you can answer. With these huge new financial and academic hurdles, is getting that prestigious degree from HIT Shenzhen actually worth the upfront risk for you and your situation? It's a tough one, but at least now you have all the facts you need to make the right choice.